Hey folks, welcome back to the Dice Tower Daily Chat. I'm Mark and I'm here with Ivan Van Norman from Hunters Entertainment. How are you, Ivan?
Hey, Mark.
It's so good
I'm
to have you
good.
here.
I am in a AC-less room
Oh,
presently, bearing down in the Los Angeles heat,
what's the
and
temp there
I
right
am
now?
I'm feeling it right now. Oh man, I think we're 101 or 102 right now, and it's like, I mean, you're sitting in the. It's starting to get a little cooler over there, but
Yeah.
right now it's still the heat's coming in on my side of
Yeah.
the place right
Well,
now. I'm having to bring it in. Yeah, it's actually not actually it's crazy. It's just the humidity is really high for some
oh,
reason.
that's
So
weird, especially there. So
I'm good though.
that's good.
I'm just gonna look a little glassy for you today.
That's fine. That's awesome. Too fun.
uh, yeah, but I mean, how was your Gen Con, Haas?
Oh man, did some fun stuff. I was supposed to play Whistle Mountain though, and
Whistle Mountain.
yeah, from BGG Games, and
Okay.
my internet went boom. Comcast to the rescue,
Oh, Comcast to the rescue.
right at the beginning, and so it was down for like 2 hours, and that was one of the big things I was looking really forward to, but didn't get to play.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry. Well, what were you going to do it on? Were you going to do it on Tabletop Sim, or were you going to
yeah,
do
we were doing
Tabletoptopia?
I think it was Tabletopia, and we were gonna do it over Twitch and YouTube. I think we are doing both places.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
How you liking? Which what do you feel like you're playing more on, Tabletopia
oh my
or
gosh.
Sim?
So this is interesting, right? Because
I
everybody,
want to hear.
it's
I
a
want to hear all
it's
of
a
it.
new thing, right, for most
Yeah.
people. But because I do
Is it Coke
previews,
and Pepsi right now? It's
it's
like
Coke
Coke
and
and Pepsi
Pepsi.
talk is what it
It
is.
is what it is. But I've been using both for a while because people from
Okay.
overseas who have prototypes have like, hey, I'll show you the game on Tabletopia or Tabletop. So
Yeah.
I've been playing for over a year on these two platforms, doing different prototypes and so forth. So I have to say, there's
Okay.
pros and cons, right? So
Right.
Tabletopia, I like in the browser because it's not a giant CPU hog.
I can
That's
see that.
that's the huge
Yeah.
advantage, and anybody can play anywhere, which is super awesome. But
Does Tabletop Sim have limited territories and area because it's on Steam? Is that what it is? Because it's regional?
I don't know if that's why, but I know that man, it's the thing is not written well. I think
Sure. Yeah,
because I
the back, what
the,
you're saying is the back end of Tabletop Simulator is not as strong as Tabletop Topia, but the front end, like the user interface of Tabletop Simulator, feels cleaner.
yes,
So I've heard that too. I've heard that
yes,
like once you get in a table, it feels really good to play Tabletop Simulator,
yep,
but you frequently get DCs and the servers
yes,
don't feel as rock solid
right,
and there's that, and then Tabletop Topia is like gets you in the game real easily, but it just feels clunky to doof around with.
yes,
So
and they both have that clunkiness to them. I have to admit,
sure,
right? I mean,
yeah,
it's a big leap, especially for some folks from table to digital, right? But for what I do with people all over the world,
yes.
having these simulators has been amazing for me.
I mean, something's better than nothing, right?
Right, exactly.
Even if it takes twice as long and you're twice as exhausted as it's done after it's done than if you were sitting at like a table playing. We had a really good panel with Banana Chan and
Yeah.
Spencer Stark about role playing games stay at home, and
Mm.
one of the conversations that came out of that was really eye opening for me is we managed to like single out some specific stuff that really like for me it like really honed in on why Zoom calls and Skype calls and all of these calls are rough.
Yes.
All right, is because two things. One, it's really hard to relate to like a tiny version of the person on the screen.
Yes.
And you're one of the people who kind of understand this. Is like if I'm looking at you like on the camera right here, I can't read your body language.
I know.
I can't understand what you're doing or how things are going unless I literally like, especially if it's like the classic like if it's just like this, it's I can see you through my peripheral vision, right? But I'm not making eye contact with you. I'm making eye
Right.
contact with a camera,
With a camera.
right?
It's not the
And it,
same.
and what 85% of normal people do is they do this. They're having the conversations because maybe their window looks like
It's
this, or they're
over
checking a
here.
button,
Yes.
or maybe they're like looking at what their board is, and this is kind of like having a conversation with someone who's not paying attention with you, right?
Right.
So you have to turn your brain on to engage it, but then you have the whole internet in front of you while you're trying to do stuff. Who doesn't go and like
Let me
drunkenly
just look at
browse
this. Yeah,
Twitch
exactly.
or like check their email? It's just so much harder.
It
So we
is.
came up with this weird idea, and I'm hoping that Dice Tower fans, there's someone out there who can do this, because I will just like throw money at whatever hardware person can figure this out.
Yeah.
You know how the teleprompter works,
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So for anyone out there who's not familiar with the teleprompter is used by like game show hosts and TV hosts, someone who needs to read a script and can't memorize like several pages, or is being fed lines basically right there. And we used it on tabletop, we used it on Game the Game.
Yeah.
We like most people who don't want to memorize giant pages of script use it. And how it works is they put a piece of reflective glass in front of a camera, and then they have an iPad or a monitor or a projector or something that's projecting it, and then it mirrors that image so that they can read the text against the glass while looking at the camera. So while they're reading, they are still looking at the camera.
Yep.
I want a visual monitor that does that, so I'm looking at the camera, but I'm also
So
looking
seeing
at
the people, and I've done this actually. I used my teleprompter
Yeah.
in some chats, and I put like my iPad with like another version of the Skype call or whatever, so I could see them. In it was just kind of a weird. It kind of worked like you're saying, but not 100%. It was
Right.
it was a makeshift thing, but it was interesting to try. And my teleprompter that I use this app called PromptSmart.
I'm smart.
Oh my gosh, dude. It tracks with your voice. And I can
Oh, cool. I've heard about a couple of those that do that with mixed results, right?
yeah, for me it always works well, but like sometimes a co-host, a little bit softer voice, not quite as good. It might actually sometimes even for me it'll jump a bit, But it's usually for me, I only use it for like the big thematic bits in the game.
Right.
So I get word for word, make sure that's right. But I love the fact that I can stop and interject and then pick up, and it picks up with me.
That's cool. That's
Yep.
super cool. So it's like voice recognition.
Yes.
But then it's also, keeping the pace. That's cool. And like I said, less worried about text and just
Right.
more wanting to use that technology
To see
of
people, right?
just to be able to like still look at a person and still look at the camera, because if
I
you
agree.
imagine two people using that technology, they could still theoretically make eye contact, and I think that would reduce fatigue. I
Yes.
think it would.
I think it would too.
Because even because I have your preview window like right up as high as I can, but even the difference between this and this,
Right. I know. I'm the same. Exactly.
it's huge.
It's huge. Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Especially if you're trying to engage like in an RPG or something, right?
And that's the challenge.
That's the
right?
challenge.
That most of the time when we're doing these virtual tabletops and we're playing them on stream, the GM is not only having to look at one person, but they're now having to like look at everybody, and they're panning off to go into it.
Yes.
And GMs do that, like they'll like
Sure.
narrate out of the space, and that's fine, right? And then they'll come back into it. But then being able to make those quick visual glances around the table, that's so much more relaxing to the eye to do that
Yes.
than have to like scrutinize a circle of windows
Ugh.
against a monitor that's trying to,
and even
getcha.
just the gallery view of people, it's still hard to like scan everybody and so forth. So totally get it.
Absolutely the case.
Man, for
So-
sure. Well, we're going to talk about what's new for you,
Yeah.
but we have some questions. We'll jump over to chat real quick.
Yes.
Gator Dave asks, Ivan,
What's up, Gator
what
Dave?
is your genesis story to the world of tabletop RPGs?
Oh my. Genesis of tabletop RPGs or getting into the space, I guess.
Either
is the
or.
follow up.
Yeah.
Well, my genesis into tabletop games was playing like what was like so many kids growing up with board games. I lived like 15 minutes out of our city into like in the forest. Like my backyard was like, several acres of pine forest on a hill.
Nice.
And instead of playing outside, I just shut myself up and played video games and board games.
I can relate to
for
that.
my childhood. So at first I was just playing, board games like Battleship with my mom and stuff like that. And then when I started getting friends over who would like make the trek to come out and play, right? Then we were playing games like Hero Quest and Dragon Strike and like the Wizard or the Wizard's Tower. Like one of those bookshelf games.
Yeah.
Those
are awesome.
I even had like the Elf Quest board game growing up.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Any of it.
It was so bad. I did too.
So I mean, those were just like the things I was getting into, but I didn't really understand or get into like kind of the modern resurgence of board games until I got into college, and then like started hanging out with friends who were playing D&D, who were like playing a lot of the Euro games to come into it. So and I went to school at Chapman University, and there was a couple of stores that were good game stores in Orange County that we were visiting and checking out. And I had a buddy who got me into Warhammer 40K, and so we were playing playing 40K in college. Yeah. But like we're a bunch of broke college kids, right? So we're using like cans and whatever for terrain, unpainted minis or barely painted minis.
Right.
But it was still great, and that's kind of like the role playing games slowly got me more into the board gaming space, because by the time I left college, I was pretty much playing role-playing games with my friends consistently, and that's about when we started Hunters Entertainment, because we had a buddy, Chris De La Rosa, my business partner, who we all were obsessed with the Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks.
So good.
Yeah, and dating myself to you, but that was right when I was in college. Just barely wrapping up college. So everyone was talking about their zombie survival plan. Like the remake of Dawn of the Dead had come out. Like the zombie bubble was blowing up again. And so us just obsessed with it, we're like, oh, is there a game that we could play that we can do this? And a buddy was like, oh, I've got this. I think he was basing it on Resident Evil at the time. So Chris was just making a Resident Evil game, and he was just doing stuff for fun anyway. So we kind of like pinned him down and forced him to run it for us.
Nice.
And it was so fun, and we started like looking into the world, and we're like, wow, what zombie RPGs are out there, and do they take this like Max Brooks survival guide tone to it? And we found out no,
not at all.
In fact, at that time, Eden Studios was completely out of print for All Flesh Must Be Eaten. They hadn't reprinted it. They reprinted it several years later.
Right.
But at the time, there was nothing.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, cool. Yeah.
Perfect timing.
We're gonna go in and we're gonna try.
Yeah.
And I told this story a little bit on the Hunter's Gathering 10-year anniversary stream, but long story short is that we didn't really, it was kind of all talk until around January. I basically went up to our little table of friends meeting up, and I'm like, okay, well, I paid her deposit for Gen Con, so we're going to Gen Con.
That's awesome.
And so we needed to finish the book.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. And tell me what that first book looked like.
Well, it was Outbreak Undead First Edition. It was a 300 almost 400 page rule book, black and white interior, color cover. Most of the font was this weird handwriting font because we wanted it to be the survivor's journal,
right? And
all of the art in it was very sketched, and so thematically it worked. It was the sketching, but the handwriting font. Why did we think it was a good idea?
I love it.
It was impossible to read. So exhausting to read rules and handwriting font. We learned that real quickly.
Yeah.
So we had a crash course in book publishing, but people still bought it. They still loved it. They still played it.
Cool.
People, they played it. And, we set up a website and started selling it on our website for a while, and we were just pushing and promoting the game until we signed with Studio 2. and then we started we did the reprint that you could read.
That's good.
The first printing of the book didn't even have an index. We had to print out indexes afterwards because we were like,
Wow.
oh god, we forgot an
We
index.
forgot the index. I love that.
So that was and that was 10 years ago, and now second edition's out with several iterations for it. Yeah,
I love it. That's the equivalent of me going back and looking at my first video. I mean, it's
Yep. I like to tell people. There's always people who are like, well, I want to make it. I want to make it perfect, right? And
Right.
it's so funny because making a board game, hosting a show, doing anything that's even slightly creative or artistic, or even skill centered, it's like the first time you do something, it's gonna suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just gotta get past that. You just gotta understand right now the first time you're gonna do it's gonna suck. The key is to suck a little less.
The next time. Yeah, indeed. And the great thing about YouTube is that it lives forever now.
And it lives forever. I know. One of my greatest mantra inspirations is from famous cartoon characters was Jake the dog, who wisely said at one point is the first step to being good at something is to start what shit okay I can't remember it now. The first step to being good at something is sucking at it first.
Yes.
Man, okay, I gotta look it up now.
All right. Well, while you look that up, we have a question from Roy Kennedy. He asks, what is the most epic board game you've played recently?
Recently? Okay. I did find the quote. It's actually right up on the top of the way. It's like,
all right.
Dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something.
I love it.
So, yes.
That's a great quote. I'm going to use that. I got to look that up.
Use it all day. The most epic board game I've played recently, I don't know. It's very vague. What does recent mean? 5 years? 5 minutes?
In the last year.
Okay. In the last year, I would say we've been enjoying really good, wonderful games of Wingspan on and every single time we play that, it's always down to 1 or 2 points. So those always feel super epic.
Super epic, yeah.
When we get into them, so it's been, and Tabletop Sim has a really good version. We are still doing an ongoing Gloomhaven campaign.
Yeah,
on
right.
Sim.
Yeah, and I actually like playing it that way better.
Oh, it's so good,
right?
The workshop, someone basically coded that entire game into there and set up and clean up, and it's just perfect.
It is. It's so well done.
Gloomhaven. It's no offense. I love Cellofair games. And I appreciate everything they've done, but the tabletop simulation version of Gloomhaven is more fun to play than the actual.
There's no cleanup. Yeah, right.
You know?
Well, and for me, just the fact that I don't have to clean up the giant mess that it.
Yeah, it's a mess. Oh boy, is that game a mess. So,
yeah.
I mean, every game of Gloomhaven's epic. People want a story that it's like I remember the second time that I was working on International Tabletop Day, and I brought in my buddies from Northern California, who had a Twilight Imperium board that had a radius of 10 feet. So a 10-foot radius board, and every single one of the little planet squares on it was oversized. It's like this. It was an oversized Twilight Imperium board, and the reason it was so big is because they took Christmas ornaments and hand painted each one of the planets.
That's the best.
And then put them on flight stands.
Yeah.
Put them out, and then they actually made little carrier baskets for each one of the carriers. So you put a flight stand on your character, and then you put whatever movements were. And I kid you, this was the Twilight Imperium that you had to push with those ye olde wartime board sticks, where you're just moving armies across the board, and they had these custom
oh my gosh
cards laid out so that you could see all of your resources and all your planets. And we brought that board down to the Geek and Sundry studio.
That's amazing.
And we ran a Twilight Imperium game that lasted 16 hours.
Wow.
Because it was a 24-hour stream.
Yeah, right.
stream. It was a 16-hour game. And the crazy part is that we just popped in for interstitials. It's like, okay, so we're doing like a 3-hour game here, run that game. I think that was the year we did Dread as well, too, for the first time.
Oh.
And we ran Dread. But then between these 15 to 20-minute setups, when we were setting up between each one of the studio shots, we'd come in and we'd see, how are things going at Twilight Imperium right now? Like, oh, God, there's a lot of things on here now. Like, it was so hard. And Hector Navarro, I believe, was the one who was there actually, like, doing, like, the reporting and, like, reporting in and talking to all of the different players.
Yeah.
That was probably the most epic game I've ever played.
Man,
ever.
I can't even. How did you set that up in the studio to film? I mean,
they had rolling doors.
Oh, they did. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a studio. They had rolling doors.
True.
You know,
I mean,
and we had to back the truck in to get it.
Okay,
so,
all right, that makes sense.
With like bins and bins of components just to lift it up.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It was very good. It was a very good game.
Oh my gosh, that's too fun. I love it. Well, tell us what's new at Hunter's Entertainment.
A lot of stuff, I guess.
What are you most excited about at the moment?
We just launched our Twitch channel, like officially.
Boom.
Like we're an official affiliate on Twitch channel. And we had a great lineup. We had like 5 games that we ran this weekend, which was super fun. And we had an amazing lineup of different casts. We did like Alice is Missing, Outbreak Undead, Altered Carbon. And then we were doing Kids on Brooms as well too, although we had some internet issues that needed to.
I can relate to that. I've been having a ton of that.
Yep. Yeah, so there's stuff like that's come across, but it was so good. Like our Alice is Missing stream was such
amazing.
A surprise.
Oh,
we had no idea if it was going to work.
It was so
for those
good.
of you out there who like want to pop up on a new one or take a look at it real quick, the idea is that Alice is Missing is a silent role-playing game, which has about 45 minutes of character setup, to establish relationships, things like that. But then after that's all done, it's 90 minutes of texting in order to resolve and tell the story with these card prompts that will feed you story elements as the game goes by, but otherwise you're just in text land on a group text and individual private text. So to make that work for stream, we basically set up a Facebook account for each one of the players, like each one of the characters, and then had them log into it, and then we just used Messenger and then captured Messenger and turned that into an experience where people could pop in between their the group chat and then the single chat.
Right.
And it was we either was like, man, this is either going to be like the most confusing, awful thing on the planet, or it's going to be like awesome.
It was awesome.
Okay, well, thank you.
It was so good. Yeah.
So, and that's cool, and we're promoting that because that was the world premiere of the game.
Yeah. It was really well done.
And like a full live play, and that was on Kickstarter. That should be coming out in right around early winter, like November, December-ish, from Renegade. Renegade Game Studios is publishing all of our stuff through the friendly local game stores. Unfortunately, I know probably people are like, and we have had people from Gen Con be like, oh, I missed the Kickstarter, I want to get on the pre-order. It's like, it's off to printers. We can't, we can't take any more pre-orders now because we have to lock those numbers.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Get them out to our backers. So, and then and simultaneously, Altered Carbon is delivered and should be coming out around the same time as well too, and that's a beautiful 300-page looking rule book with cool art, and it's a neo-noir investigative game. It's
also a pretty unique RPG. I mean, we played, and I was
the
thing that I was blown away was that I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I knew about Altered Carbon, but that you literally could sit down and start and teach it on the fly was amazing. And obviously, it is. Yeah.
All you have to do, you the basics of it is that the GM is setting a target number, but the only thing that's weird that you got to keep in mind is you got to roll under the stat. So it's a very roll under. It's a roll under system.
It is a roll under system.
We're not the first.
No.
But
it definitely has a unique feel to it, I have to say. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I still actually, because we were showing them off earlier, I have the stealth dice here that are still. Let me pop my screen open so I can see what the hell I look like showing this thing. There we go. Okay, yeah.
There.
Focus.
Oh yeah, those are so cool.
Yeah, they're UV activated.
Yes.
So, yes, I know. There you go.
Amazing.
Yeah, but they're super fun. So these are like, unfortunately, this is the realm of like, oh, here, let me show all of you Dice Tower people all these cool things that we cannot put through distribution because they're too expensive.
Too
So they're
expensive.
Kickstarter only.
Yeah. Well, maybe
Uh,
someday, right?
Someday, yeah. If I can get Level Up Dice to bring down their prices a little bit, so I can sell it through distribution,
That'd be
then
awesome.
then
Yeah.
we'll make it work. So
Yeah. And the thing I love about the stuff that we do together is the fact that filming previews for these RPGs is a unique challenge, and I love that so much. I think we found good ways around it every time, but it's always just like, oh, what do we do this time? I really enjoy that, and that collaborative with you has been really fun. So
I appreciate that. It's fun, and I love always that you're willing to just kind of tackle it and kind of see how things are going, and just give it a try, no matter what it is.
absolutely.
So, and I know. And what we do with like you said, what we do with Altered Carbon, it's like, yeah, just play, Mark. Like, just come,
Let's just
play the
play.
game.
And that
Let
was
me know what you think.
Yeah, that was amazing. And you, I mean, everybody knows, but I mean, you are an amazing DM. Just fantastic. So it's
sweet.
always fun to play. The fact that I got to play was just phenomenal. So yeah, thank you.
That's cool. Well, the one we got up next is going to be fun too.
Ooh.
We have an epic heavy metal fantasy RPG that we're
Oh,
working on right now.
like based on the
called-
cartoon, or
No, well, I mean, there's some sort of creditable source of inspiration there for sure, because heavy metal is
Right.
definitely like heavy metal and then fantasy as well too. But this is very much, it's taking from heavy metal, it's also taking from like traditional metal, but at
Okay.
the end of the day, it is exactly as I described it, an epic heavy metal fantasy
Okay.
role-playing game. Everyone in the world is like, the world that we're making is basically a glorified album cover.
oh, that's
And
awesome.
the premise of the game is that there's two worlds, right? There's Ragnarok, and then there's the world that everybody lives in, which we have lovingly titled Mundania. And Mundania is where everyone who is living their life and hates it, right, is looking to strive for something more. So at some point, a major life event occurs in which these, we call them the Rognu Skull, the lead angels, they come and pluck these mortals who are living these awful lives that just want some glory, and then they throw them into Ragnarok.
Oh.
And there they become an avatar of metal, and they get to come into this world with other avatars of metal and basically tour around this fantasy world trying to please the metal gods and find glory for themselves, so they might ascend into metal god,
Yes.
right?
Oh my gosh.
So,
What a great
yeah.
premise. I love it.
And the game is very much focused on like looking at the mirror worlds, like the hardcore failure mechanic, like the critical fail mechanic in it isn't like, oh, you tumbled and you fell and you broke your nose or
Yeah.
your sword broke. It's like, no, you are sent to a timeout back to Mundania, where you now have to make sandwiches for 4 combat
Oh my
rounds,
gosh, that's
while
amazing.
all of your friends are battling a Minotaur inside of Ragnarok and being awesome, and you've got to sit and because someone wants to talk to the manager right now.
So you basically
Okay?
become the water boy at that point.
It's yeah, because you are Water Boy, but you're back. But in Ragnarok, you could be like, Syphilis, the glory water elemental, or what.
Okay,
it is. You can
that's
look
awesome.
However you want, and you can build your avatar however you want. But you become more powerful the more notoriety you get in the game. So
Wow.
it's fun.
That's
the art's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I could share. I could show you I actually built together a showcase if you wanted to see it.
Oh
So,
man, yeah, you got to send me that stuff, dude. When you
do you want me to send it? Or do you just want me to pop it up on the screen, boo?
pop it, do it. Let's see it.
Okay, because I'll throw it up. I had it ready for BGG when we were
Oh.
doing stuff with them, but we weren't able to get to it in time.
Yeah, just give us a quick sample.
I'll just show you now. Let me just share screen real quick. Ba-boom. So this is the Gods of Metal Ragnarok art showcase. Can you see it?
Nice.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, oh, geez, come on. Here we go. There we go. This is the world creation myth art, right? So with the 6 gods of metal, and then all the Mundanians who are living in the mirror world between that and the world of Ragnarok.
Wow.
So right between them.
Interesting.
And then this is a piece of concept art from Bruce Benesseri, who did we call it the Speakers of the Dead. It's basically like an arena, like a battle arena that sits out in the clouds that has this town that's attached next to it, right? So, and then
Cool.
here are some work in progress concepts for the Gods of Metal.
So when is this going to hit Kickstarter?
So this will hit Kickstarter later this year. We're looking at October, November at the moment. Yeah, it could get pushed to next year. It just kind of depends.
Makes sense
on how stuff goes. But it's fun. It's kind of like my. It's a little bit of like I've been running the business of trying to keep a publishing company afloat.
For sure.
and building this Twitch stream, but this is like the one time that I get to actually dive in and get my development hands dirty a little bit.
Nice.
And actually enjoy
cool.
some time. So.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Anything else new that you can tease?
Those are pretty much the big ones at the moment. The other, pretty much everything else is out. There's a lot of stuff under NDA.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We just can't even talk about right now, like just licenses and things like that I have to that I would hear about later if I said anything.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Cool. Well, we have another question. Good Days Games is asking any games that both of us that we're looking forward to. Anything up and coming that you're really looking forward to?
Oh, well, you go first because I need to think about it a little bit.
I've been doing a lot of previews, so I see a lot of future stuff, right? So, and I know I've talked about it before, but the Night Cage, I'm so excited about this game.
Oh, yeah, Night Cage. Oh, good for Kurt, man.
Yeah.
Kurt, that looks awesome.
It is so awesome, dude. I have the prototype, and I backed it, and I'm sure I'm going to get more. Yeah, it's so good.
Man, you're going to have to tell me how the prototype is. So I love Kurt. Kurt was one of those people when I met really first in the industry, and I'm like, I love every game that you make. Like everything you've done is fun. Sutaku was like the first game that I picked up.
So good.
And he's probably like, I've bought that game probably like 4 or 5
times
because I keep buying it and then I keep leaving
place or giving it away. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've totally done that. Dude, Night Cage, just everything about that game is so. Right. I love it. I love the artwork. I love the atmosphere, the tension that builds. I don't know if you know, but there's tiles in like this candle, and as you pull tiles, the candle lowers. Right, so. It's so good, and
I'm totally into it. And it's that darkness mechanic, that kind of has this weird nyctophobia-ish kind of an attitude for it, but you don't have to be completely blind, like to make it work. Yeah,
and the way the tiles crumble away, and then I'm gonna go back. Oh, now it's something new, So, it's so good. It's so good. Anything you're looking forward to?
Yeah. So. Yeah, the Night Cage is actually, it's funny, it's just the one I just recently backed. We also, I had it in my brain while we were still there talking about it, and I guess it's not as exciting if I can't remember now what it is. We did back Jiangxi, and I got a chance to see Jiangxi at Gen Con last year when Sen and Banana showed it to me, and that's a new fun take because someone's doing a cultural RPG that also feels like anyone could pick up and play into it. Basically, Jiangxi is about a family restaurant trying to fight off vampires.
Oh my gosh!
So it
sounds amazing.
During the day, and then they have to fight off vampires at night.
That's the best theme ever.
And it's super fun and very unique mechanic, and it's a pretty great game.
Cool.
Man, what was it? I literally had it on the tip of my tongue. I'm very much like this. I get super flighty when I think about like stuff that I'm playing or I'm interested in right now to kind of get into it. But what's another one that you're going? Because for all I know, it might re-jog my memory again.
Let's see. So there's a whole slew of like piratey games coming.
There's a lot of pirating games. Sea of Legends and
Sea of Legends. Like yeah, those were pretty interesting. I'm trying to think. What did I film? I filmed a game called New York Crisis today, which has a little bit of a pandemic vibe to it. But it almost has a bit of a Batman vibe to it as well, where you come out of a theater with your family and witnessed this terrible crime, but they think you did it. So now you have to run around the city and solve it and avoid the mafia and eliminate the mafia and avoid the police.
Got it.
It was actually really interesting, I thought. But I like cooperative games, so it kind of appeals to the things that I do. I also was working on today the Harry Potter, the House Cup Championship game.
Oh, the House Cup Champion. Copy that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did the preview for that today, and I think it's a really great entry level like worker placement. Like if you have folks that don't really know worker placement, it's a great like, hey, try this, and then you can move them up to more challenging games. But if you're a Harry Potter fan, though, you're gonna like it. I mean, it totally.
That's fun.
Yeah. So.
Well, I don't mind doing one shout out for the Shivers. Did you get a chance?
Oh
to look
yeah,
at that
absolutely. That looks very cool.
It's very unique. I've had a chance to actually play that game a few times.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like a unique, very family friendly version of like a role playing game. Because the concept is they read you into the story. So the stories are very like, you go through the story. So it's not like there's a whole lot of choices. It kind of actually feels more like a just a board game version of Return to Monkey Island.
Oh yeah,
you just have those
gosh.
point and click adventures.
Right, Monkey Island was so good.
you just keep clicking things until something happens, kind of a situation.
Did you know that my first entry into reviewing games was for all the LucasArts games that I did? Yeah.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
It was so awesome. I got to know those guys. It was really fun. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
Oh, that's a legacy, man.
Yeah,
it is.
Remember. Yeah, I loved it. So fun. Anything else that you're excited about?
Again, I'm just trying to think of that. I had that literally on the tip of my tongue. It was I was thinking about something that I was just looking at, and it wasn't on Kickstarter. So that was the part. Oh, that's right, because it was just announced. It was Kim Joy's baking card game that Skybound's doing.
Oh yeah.
City.
Yes.
Kim Joy baking game. I'm super stoked about that. I know nothing about the game. I love Kim Joy.
Yes.
That's why I want to do this.
Yeah.
And then speaking of another licensed one, the other one that I'm dying for right now, and because I knew about it because Renegade's doing it, but it's like the Gudetama trick taking game, the Lazy Egg. So Gudetama from Sanrio. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Gudetama?
I do.
Okay, I can't wait.
That's awesome.
I'm a huge Gudetama fan.
Yeah.
And I just want to play the Lazy Egg.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's really good. So, do you have a favorite trick taking game?
To be honest, I haven't played a whole lot of them. They are a fairly new genre for me.
Okay.
Like Fox in the Forest was really like my first introduction into it.
It's really good.
And then Arboretum, both Renegade games, were they both kind of were scratching that itch, but I'm really impressed that like trick taking is kind of something that people are looking at right now, because for me it's like, wow, that is a very tight parameter style game to design around. So it's like how like you can obviously reskin it for days, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But how do you just make that unique every single
time? Yeah, for sure. Well, Kabuki Kid asks,
Kid?
Yes.
Okay, no. I thought there was a game, but it's user.
User asks, what was your very first RPG that you ever played, and what was your very first version of D&D that you played?
So my first RPG I ever played at the tender age of 10 years old was the Palladium Fantasy role-playing game.
Oh, man, I don't think I even know this one.
Yep. Yeah, like literally, like disclaimer on the front cover. This book contains magic, spellcasting, demons, sorcery, and is not intended for children. And here I am, like 10 years old.
I need it.
Crunching percentile dice, just hoping to make it work. And my first, I do like this story, but one of my first experience as a GM running this game was awful.
I bet.
Awful. And not because the rules were difficult and crunchy. They were, but that was not what made it awful.
Okay.
The reason it made it awful is because I had a story that I wanted to tell as the GM, and I brought that to my friends, and they didn't care.
They were
just wanted to,
yeah.
they just want to goof around. They just wanted to just mess around, do stupid things, and like do all these goofy stuff. And I got so mad, Mark. I just wanted to tell my story, and and if I could tell 10-year-old Ivan now, I'd be like, dude, they're having fun. Chill out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
That's what it's about. It's about choosing whatever path you want to go on, right? I mean, that's
dude,
the
just
thing.
have fun.
Yep.
What did you expect? You're a bunch of you're a bunch of kids having fun. But
Fun.
I wanted to like Stranger Things it, man. Like I wanted to be there and like be involved in this fun story.
I get it.
They just weren't getting it. But that's okay.
Yeah.
So
I do admit that I have friends who have GM for the first time, and I always check to see if they have plans by doing something like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna go this way, and they'll be like, oh, you are, and they're like quickly making notes or doing something. So it's always interesting to me for the first timers, right? So
it's really, I just think it's really important for if if it's your first time running a game, or even if it's the time you have a whole bunch of players, it's like have a conversation, like, okay, what kind of game do we want to play? Do we want to play like a deep role play, just chronology, like just an epic soap opera, like, is that what we want? Or do we want to dungeon dive and kill some monsters, right? Like, what do you want to play? What's the level of like in-depthness you want to get into it? Because I can tell you, if two people want one thing and two people want another thing, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
as the old South Park thing goes. So.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I GM'd. It was interesting to say that, but I knew that people would take multiple paths, so I had like 10 other stories that never happened because they didn't go on any of the paths that I thought they might. So that was I had the opposite thing where I had like, oh man, I planned all these things and they just did the main thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like, so what happened? So to answer the other part of the question, what's the first D&D? So I did 3.5. Was the first time I ever played. And then I played a little bit of 4th after that, and then kind of went back to 3.5 until 5th came out.
Yeah.
So, which I think is a pretty common path for a lot of people.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, my first time playing D&D was 1979.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah. So, and back then it was all about, Nork, let's beat it up. As kids, that's all we wanted to do, right? So,
Which is absolutely kind of how all that stuff went about. And it's okay. It's like I said, everyone's journey of discovery. And like we were bringing it back early, the first time you do something, you're going to suck at it. So.
Indeed. It's so true.
Okay.
Oh, that's fun. So, have you, since you're kind of locked in at home a bit, have you been like binge watching anything cool?
No, I mean we do a lot of the cooking shows.
Oh yeah.
Stuff, and there's a little bit of that going on. But since to be honest, like I'm managing, businesses at the moment, like managing hunters,
of course,
working on other projects, and then I'm kind of like I just have my 5-year-old at home, so he's pretty much eating up all of my free time when I'm not like right here.
Gotcha.
So if I am watching stuff, it's a lot of like Steven Universe. And,
oh yeah.
Which he was kind of in the Steven Universe, but not so much anymore. Like Dragon Prince, and I finally got him to go. We ended up starting Avatar, and then I ended up finishing Avatar, and I had already seen the whole season once already, but it was very much like I tried to bring him in. But he's 5 still. His attention span is still pretty much limited to tablet poking games. So we do a lot of that. We play a lot of tablet games together.
That's cool.
Which is fun.
And
he does have his Ticket to Ride First Journey, which we bust out every once in a while, and he loves that. So.
Well, did you see the Steven Universe card game, the battle card game?
I saw that.
One of my favorite things to say on camera ever was Beach-a-Palooza. It was so fun.
Perfect. They know what people want. They want to get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Ticket to Ride, we do a lot of HABA games with him, and then what is it? Peaceful Forest or Peaceful Valley? I think it's Peaceful Valley. They have some great games like Lemonade Shake-Up that are very kid appropriate and very good. And then he's got another one called Echidna Shuffle, which we found at Gen Con last year. Actually.
Oh, okay.
I'm an independent developer, and they the big chunky plastic echidnas that you put the bugs on top of. You got to carry the bugs from like one part of the board to
that's
the other.
cool.
But it's a math game, and so it helps him with his counting and
cool.
stuff like that.
I love it.
Yeah, we try like once a week. And the problem is that when he's in the mood, I'm like, hey Phoenix, you want to play a board game right now? And he's like, yeah. It's like, okay, well, what do you want to play? He's like, all of them.
I love it.
Okay, buddy, pick one.
That's pretty epic. That's the best response ever. I love it. I'm gonna use that. All of them.
So which board game do you want to play? All of them. Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad we narrowed it down. So.
It's so good. What's your favorite Hobbit game that you guys are playing then?
I think of all the Hobbit games he likes to play the most it's like a lot of the like three and up ones. He's pretty much outgrown at this stage. He still likes to do what is it? The Cherry Tree one.
Oh yeah.
Let me see. Cherry.
I can't think of the name of it. My favorite is still Rhino Hero. I play it all.
Oh, Rhino, yeah.
It's so fun.
It's true. Rhino Hero, and that's the one. Like Rhino Hero can be played by anyone. I remember when we did the oversized version.
Yes.
Of for Tabletop Day.
So good.
It was super fun. We had to get Kim Horcher up on a ladder in order to finish it, which I felt bad because she had like a pencil skirt on, and we were like, okay, well, I mean, got to do her turn, but keep the cameras
right.
wide, folks.
Yep.
Keep the cameras wide. You know, I think it was called Little Orchard.
Little Orchard. That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Little Orchard's great, and it's a memory game. And because we just started playing it without doing the memory game part too much, he just would play it until he got a match. But now I'm like hardcore, like, no, you get 2 flips, and then it's Daddy's turn to roll the dice. All right, okay, I didn't get it. You get 2 flips, Phoenix. Which one is it? You know,
that's
just
good.
Grinded him on the memory games.
I love it. That's too fun.
I think it's about time to get more.
Yeah, I'd say so. So, what movie would you like to see converted into a board game? This is from Good Days Games.
Oh, Good Days. You're just on it today, aren't you? What movie, what board game would I like to see converted into a movie? Well, selfishly, and it's not even out yet, Gods of Metal Ragnarok.
Well,
I want this
to be a thing.
That's my selfishness right there. But if I'm being honest, I think either oh wow, why am I not pulling on it right now? The Red Ravens world that they make. Why can't I remember companies but not games?
Which one? I mean, there's so many.
I know. Hold on. It was the one that really introduced me to them.
Okay.
Right. Stand by. I'm on their website.
All right.
So I can remember this. Near and Far.
Near and Far. Oh yeah. Okay. I mean, there's so many of theirs that you could have been. I mean.
That's true. But those are the ones that I know, and I know that Islebound kind of lives in that world as well too. But I'd love to see that into a movie. I think that'd be fun. I'd also love to see Tidal Blades. You know, I know that and the thing is that Skybound's in the perfect position to do something with Tidal Blades like that, which is just great.
What about going the other way though? Movie to board game though. I think that's
it sucks because I have a ton of them. I want to see a good conversion of a horror game. Like, I mean, it's a shame because Friday the 13th. There's a lot of there's a couple slasher thriller ones that I've kickstarted and I'm waiting for them to come.
Yeah,
I'm just really
some interesting looking ones. Yeah, for sure.
So I have some high hopes for like the Friday the 13th. I'm actually looking at them right now. Final Girl, like I'm really interested on Final Girl.
Yeah.
To see how that plays out. And Hell, like the last saga. I'm
Oh,
interested to see
right.
how that plays out
Yes, for sure. I
as
did
well
a
too.
I did a little teaser for that. It
Oh
was
yeah.
really cool. Yeah. So the artwork is amazing for it.
It
So
is amazing, and I know that sometimes it's really easy to sell a game just on art, but they did that. But it's intriguing. But if I wanted to get a movie, like a real legit movie, part of me wants like oh, shoot. It sucks because I'm like, oh, you should do The Martian. That's terraforming Mars. You
it
know,
is. It
that's
is Terraform
what
Mars.
it is. Um, you know what? Oh, and it hurts. It hurts me to say it because there's so many reasons it hurts me to say it, but I can't say any of the reasons why it hurts me to say it because it's all under NDA. So
Okay.
I'll just, as a blanket response, just say I would love to see Castlevania
Oh
converted
my
into a board
gosh,
game.
this would be amazing. I
Mhm.
would love that too. Have you been
I
watching
want
the animated series on?
Yes,
Oh, it's
yes,
so
the
good.
animated series. Yes, I would say the second season was a little slow
It was a
for
little
me
slow,
to build up
but
into it. It took a little
yeah, it
getting,
did.
but
Yep.
it's fun, and it's one of the things where it's like, like I thought about them like, oh, well, Castlevania make a great role playing game. It's it's Curse of Strahd. Like, let's just not dress it up like what it is. It's like it's D&D. Like you can basically run Castlevania in D&D.
Yeah.
There you can provide no mechanic that's unique in order to make that work. So put that off the table. But like a dungeon crawling, like like a less crunchy version of Dark Souls,
Yes.
dungeon crawler game. I think that would just be so much
So
fun.
cool.
I'd be into it. I
Me
also want
too.
more exploration games, like any kind of, if someone can figure out like a classic like exploration game, like um uh Azubu or Journey, or
Mm.
like those ones that kind of are just about like exploring the world, or like even um uh uh, uh wow, brain. What am I thinking of? We're playing a lot of it right now. Breath of the
Oh,
Wild,
Breath of the Wild.
right?
Yeah.
If someone could find a way to like make an organic, and the problem is that I know it's just going to be so component heavy. No matter what you do, no matter how you dress it,
It would have to be.
it's a $200 box
Yes.
because it has all the dailies inside of it, and then you just got to find ways to rehash and find and discover and get into it.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of that game is going and finding something new, but it's such a big world.
Yep.
But you can only print so much stuff before it starts getting a little boring.
Yep.
Um, you know, uh, yes, yes. So that's there. That's where I am,
Yeah.
basically, as far as the games and stuff.
Those are great options. Oh my gosh, Castlevania, man! I played every version of. I just loved Castlevania so much, so good. I can't agree more. But I mean, I would love to, and I don't, the fact that we have Adrenaline, which is like a first-person shooter, right, in a tabletop. I always think I know it's not movie related, but as far as video games go, I would love to see like a Borderlands. And I have the Borderlands
Borderlands would be
card
fun.
game. I have that, but I would love to see like a component heavy Borderlands. That'd be awesome with
That'd be fun.
scenarios and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
like, and I know they made the XCOM board game, and that kind of touched into the strategic. You know what I would also like to see, and I don't know if this would work. I don't know if this would be fun, but if someone wants to try it and lets me know if it's fun, I'd like a flip ship style
oh,
skill based game that really tries to take a new angle on the shooter, right?
that would be
You know,
awesome. Yep.
like some kind of game that that's skill based,
Mhm.
like flip ships, where it's just like loopadoo, right?
Yep.
And it's satisfying like flip ships.
Yeah, which is very
but
satisfying. I love it.
very satisfying game, but does tackle the shooter
Yeah,
appropriately,
right. That would be
So,
amazing. Wow, that would be really fun. But I mean,
who knows?
you kind of have
The game just may be darts, but that's okay.
it could just be
If you could make darts in board game darts and make it feel there without having to play darts, right? So
right.
God, okay, I have the right ideas.
Yes, you do. I'm in. Wherever I can help, I'm in.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to do all the things. Yes, I want to play all the games.
Yeah.
That's too fun.
Yeah, super
That's
fun.
too fun.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, like, wherever you're thinking, I'd like to hear what your brain is as well
man.
too, or if anyone else has any other like inspiring ideas, so I can keep writing down things as part of this conversation.
I've always wanted. So. I was such a big Stargate fan that I always wanted like a Stargate Atlantis type game of some sort that was worth 2 cents. You know, because there were some things they tried to do, they were just terrible. But something cool with like the symbols in the gate in the game being puzzly or abstract would be so cool. I would really like that. Yeah, so fun. So
okay. I mean, yeah, that does sound fun. Stargate is awesome.
Right.
There was a Stargate RPG for a while.
Yes,
I remember.
there
kind
was.
of in, like the early licensed era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And people that I talked to who played it said it was, you know, kind of thing. So.
Got it. Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. We have a good question here from Eric. What innovations in recent board games should make their way into RPGs, like deck building, drafting, worker placement? What would you like to see?
Oh, of standard RPGs, I'd like to see people incorporate, since we are in a position as where we're a lot more at home, then I'd like to be able to find ways that really lean into the tools that we have. And we talked about this at the stay-at-home RPG panel a little bit more. But it's like there are a lot of tools out there. I'm personally super excited for Tilt 5. Like I have I don't say high hopes, but I have. No, I do. I have high hopes for that becoming a platform where people can actually engage and play with together remotely.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like to where I could actually have a physical board that is also your physical board, and we can continue to play at a table even if I have a set of VR goggles on.
Yep.
And that's tough because a lot of that game is mostly about you're looking at a board, but you're not looking at a board. It's an ARG, alternate reality, not like a full VR.
Right.
And I know Tabletop Sim has a VR system inside of it, but like I would just like to see some more mechanics that lean into the technology that we have while still encompassing what feels good about board games, which is the connectivity between people.
Yes.
And without having it accidentally bleed into video game territory, right?
I agree.
Yeah, and I know it's there, and I have my guts telling me that we're going to see a lot more of that than less of that in the future, even when everything comes back to normal. It's just going to be a place where how can we connect still?
Right.
Like I said, give me that camera.
Yes.
Give me that monitor. Right.
I agree.
And I think as soon as we start seeing stuff like that, we're going to start seeing engagement feel much more honest and good.
I agree.
So, what did that look like? I put my fingers up here.
It was good. It was good.
So,
that's awesome.
Well, that's cool. I mean, thanks to the chat for all the
great questions, right? Man, I can't believe we're coming up on the hour already. It just flies by every time.
I know, and I feel bad, but I also have to go. Like, I have to go finish the loaf of bread that I've been waiting to pop into the oven. Right now
I love
as
it.
Well, too.
That's good.
So
I feel like there should be an RPG around that somehow.
We could do it. I mean, so if you haven't checked it out, check out Dragon Stew.
Dragon Stew,
which is a 5th edition supplement that you can have that has cooking classes.
Oh my gosh!
They're cooking combat classes.
Oh, that's amazing! Right? I gotta see this.
Yeah, it's not just trade skills. They're cooking combat classes. It's very clever. It's very charming. The art is very appropriate. Like it's whimsical without getting like goofy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
that's amazing. I love that premise so much. It's just too fun.
Yeah.
Well, before you go, anything you want to share, where people find you? I mean,
if I'm being honest, right now, if you've enjoyed the conversation, you would do me a great honor if you popped over to twitch.tv/Hunters Entertainment. That's plural, Hunters Entertainment, and just give it a follow. Just look at it. I'm not asking you to go and subscribe right off the bat without seeing some of the content on there, but if you do have some time before the clock turns over into a new day, we are going to leave the Alice's Missing live play stream up, and then starting Monday it's going to start being subs only. But if you just want to go over there, look a follow, take a peek at it, because we're really excited that we launched this channel. It's been way more successful than we thought it was going to be. I think we have 1,000 followers already. So
that's
we went
amazing.
From like 0 to 1,000 in
Yeah.
the course of just the short weekend, right? But we're looking forward to like building out content. We're going to be doing 2 shows a week over there. One's going to be a live play, and the other one's going to be what we're calling Hunter's Gathering, which is kind of like a peek behind the development curtain
Ooh, I like
for
it.
us. So we're going to be a lot of the games that I was talking about. We're going to be like having an opportunity to talk about those as part of our Twitch stream that's hosted by Markia McCarty. So super fun. Just pop over there if you do me a thing. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter, Hydra_Lord, Facebook, all the socials.
All the socials, all everywhere. All right, Ivan. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. It's so fun to chat,
man.
my friend.
Good seeing you, Mark.
Always good to see you.
Well, let's do this again soon.
Yes,
Okay?
absolutely. I agree fully. And chat, thanks for being here. We appreciate it so much. And until next time, folks, we'll see you at the table. Night, all.